The sun was hot above the dry alien land. Dust floated in the air like tiny ghosts. Old Farmer Tom wiped sweat from his forehead as he parked his rusty hover truck near the barn. He had only come to this quiet alien village to buy a cow. That's it. He didn't care for aliens, didn't like crowds, and didn't want trouble. He just needed a new cow for milk, and then he'd head back to his small, lonely farm. But as he walked past the fence, something made him stop. A sound, a cry. It was soft at first, like the wind, but then it grew louder, filled with pain. Please, please help her. She's not waking up. Tom turned sharply, behind a pile of broken wood. He saw her, a small alien girl with blue skin, her knees in the dirt, shaking her mother's hand. The mother lay still, too still. Her eyes were half open, but she didn't move. The girl looked no older than 7. She had long white hair and dirt on her cheeks. Her hands were wrapped around her mother's arm like she was holding on to the last bit of life. Tom blinked. This wasn't his business. He didn't know them, but something inside his chest. It tightened. It hurt. He walked closer slowly. The girl looked up, scared. Her voice cracked. Are you a doctor? Please, I think she's dying. Tom crouched beside her. I'm not a doctor, he said quietly. I'm just a farmer. But you came, right? The girl whispered, today's her last day. She told me last night. The sickness would win today. Tom looked at the woman. Her breathing was thin, chest rising only a little. She was burning up with fever. He touched her forehead, which dry and hot, like fire. What happened? Tom asked. She got sick weeks ago. The girl said, tears falling now. Nobody helped us. They said, we're nothing. She worked in the fields until she fell. Tom glanced around. There were houses nearby, farms, workers, but no one came. No one even looked their way. It was like they were invisible. I just came here to buy a cow, Tom said softly, but mostly to himself. The girl nodded slowly. You can leave if you want. They all do. Tom felt those words like a punch to the gut. He thought of his wife gone years ago. He had held her hand too, just like this girl, as the light faded from her eyes. No one came to help them either. He had buried her alone. He looked at the girl again, alone, afraid, trying to be strong. Something deep inside him moved. I'm not leaving, he said. The girl's eyes grew wide. You're not? No, he said, standing up. I've got some supplies in my truck. Maybe I can help a little. He ran back to his hover truck and grabbed his old medical box. It was dusty, barely used, but it had basic antibiotic spray, fever patches, water packs, and pain drops. He returned and started working. He cleaned the mother's skin, pressed a cool patch to her forehead, and lifted her onto a broken cot. The girl watched every move like it was magic. What's your name? Tom asked. Lyra. She said, my mom's name is Ina. Well, Lyra, Tom said, we're gonna try to help your mom, all right? She nodded hard, trying not to cry again. For the next hour, Tom stayed by Ina's side, giving her small sips of water. Checking her breath, she didn't wake, but her heartbeat grew steadier. As the alien sun began to set, turning the sky orange and red, Tom looked out at the field. The cow he came to buy stood, tied nearby, chewing grass like nothing had happened, but everything had changed. He had come for a cow, but now he wasn't sure if he could leave, because someone needed him, and maybe, just maybe, he needed them too. The next morning the village was quiet. Too quiet. The alien wind carried dust and old smells from the fields. Tom stood outside the broken house. His boots sunk a little in the dry, cracked soil. He had not slept much. The little alien girl had cried herself to sleep while holding her mother's hand, and the mother had not opened her eyes once. Tom looked toward the village road. He saw people passing, but none of them looked his way. Their eyes were empty cold, like nothing had happened, like a woman was not dying in that house, like a child had not screamed for help. He walked to a nearby shop made of metal and thick branches. An old alien farmer with 4 eyes stood behind the counter sharpening a blade. Tom spoke first. "Do you know the woman who lives near the edge of the field? Her name is Ina. She's very sick. She needs help." The farmer didn't stop his blade. He didn't even look up. "She's a cursed one. She caused trouble. Now she faces her end. We don't touch her. We don't speak of her. Go back to your world, human." Tom stepped forward. "She has a child. A little girl. She's all alone." The alien gave a slow look, eyes full of dust and age. "Then the child will learn pain early." Better than false hope, Tom clenched his fists. He had heard enough. He turned away and stormed back to the broken house inside. The air was heavy and warm. Lyra was sitting beside her mother again, her tiny hand holding Ina's fingers. Tom knelt down beside them. "No one's coming, kid. We're on our own." Lyra nodded, like she already knew. She didn't cry. This time she just stared at her mother's face. So still, so pale, so tired. Tom remembered something. His old army crate, still in the back of the truck. Inside were old tools, old parts, and an energy cell half full. He pulled it out and connected it to the broken medical scanner in the corner. It blinked once, then twice, then turned green. Lyra's eyes lit up. "Will it help her, please?" Tom didn't answer. He lifted the scanner and ran it slowly over Ina's body. Lines of blue and red danced on the screen, but then came the black. Long, dark marks running down her chest like veins filled with poison. "This isn't normal," Tom whispered. "This isn't sickness from the air. Someone did this to her." Lyra's face froze. Her lips trembled. "I told her not to fight. I told her to stop going to those meetings. But she said if we stayed silent, we'd stay slaves forever." Tom looked at her meetings. "What meetings?" She looked down. "My mom used to speak for the workers. She told them they had rights. Then one day she came home with a bruise. Then the next day she came home with blood. Then she got sick." Tom stood up, his heart beat faster. He had seen this before, not on this planet, but in the wars. In the factories where whispers turned into punishments, someone wanted her quiet, and now someone wanted her gone outside. He heard footsteps, voices, low and rough. Tom peeked through the window. 3 alien men stood outside with uniforms and silent faces. One of them held a black stick, the kind that made people disappear. Lyra saw them too. She grabbed his hand. "There, from the farms they came last night too. I think they want to take me." Tom grabbed his shotgun. He didn't even think. "It's moved," he whispered. "Stay here. Don't open the door for anyone but me." Then he stepped outside alone, facing 3 shadows under the burning sun. He didn't want to fight. He didn't want trouble. He just came to buy a cow. But now he was standing in front of a child, and someone had too. The sky turned red as the sun began to fall behind the hills. Alien birds flew low and quiet. Tom sat beside the fire he had built using old wood and dry plants. The flames danced in silence. Inside the small house, Lyra slept next to her mother, one hand always holding on as if letting go would break her. Tom stared at the fire, but his mind burned hotter. Something was wrong, deeply wrong. He had seen poison, sickness, war wounds, but this was not the same. This was quiet and cruel, like a knife hidden under a gift. He remembered the scanner, the black lines on her chest, too perfect to slow. This was not from nature. This was designed. He walked into the room. The mother Anna had not moved, but her breathing had a rhythm now, small, soft, alive. Tom sat beside her and held the scanner again. He watched the lines glow on the screen, poison crafted to spread slowly. Targeting nerves, silencing voice. Ending strength without noise. He whispered to himself, why would someone do this? Why would anyone want her to suffer like this? Then Lyra spoke behind him because she spoke the truth. Tom turned. Lyra stood in the doorway, eyes wide and old, older than a child should ever look. she told the workers they were not animals. She said the farm owners were stealing water, keeping medicine away, hiding food for their own families. Did the workers believe her? Tom asked. At first, no, then yes. They followed her, they shouted with her, they marched with her, and what happened? Tom's voice was low like thunder, hiding in the dark. The guards came at night, took 3 men. 1 never came back. Then my mother got sick. They said it was her fault, they blamed her for everything, and everyone got scared again. Tom stood up, his fists tight, his breath heavy. Who controls the farms? Who gives orders? Lyra stepped back, her eyes dropped to the floor. There is one man. He owns the land, his name is Krellin. He used to be human like you, but he left your kind long ago. Tom's head snapped up. Human. A human did this, half human maybe. He sold his blood for power. Now he works with the nobles. He calls himself Lord Krellin. But we call him something else. We call him the Silence Maker. Tom felt heat rise in his chest. The fire behind him matched it, a human or half-human, poisoning a mother and hunting her child. It was more than evil, it was betrayal. He walked outside and stared at the dark hills. He remembered a name. Krellin. Yes, during the war, he had heard of a man with that name, a deserter, a traitor. He had killed his own squad and sold their weapons to enemies. Tom had seen photos. He had read the report that man had vanished without a trace. Now he was here ruling land like a king, using poison instead of bullets. Tom whispered into the wind. If this is true, then he picked the wrong woman to hurt and the wrong farmer to leave alive. That night, Tom fixed the scanner. He downloaded the poison map into a storage chip. Tomorrow, he would take it to the med tower. In the next city, if the machines there could read it, maybe they could build a cure, but danger was moving faster than hope. In the far distance behind the trees, a pair of red eyes blinked once, then vanished. A message was sent into the stars. 3 words only. She is healing. The morning light came slow and gray, like a tired ghost. Tom opened his eyes and felt something cold in the air. To still. Too silent, he sat up fast. His heart pounded like a hammer inside an old engine. Ina lay on the bed, breathing soft. Weak, but alive. But Lyra was gone. Tom looked around the room. He checked behind the broken chair, under the table, outside near the fence. Nothing, only footprints in the dusty ground. Small footprints, then bigger ones beside them. Tracks leading away from the house into the wide open fields. Tom felt a fire bloom in his chest. He had seen kidnappings. Before, he had seen children taken by soldiers during the war. It always started like this. Small feet dragged across dirt. No sound, only fear left behind. Lyra. He whispered, his voice cracked and heavy. He grabbed his old shotgun from beside the door. He checked Ina one more time. Her eyes half opened. Where is she? Where is my daughter? Tom placed a hand on her shoulder. I will bring her back. I promise. Stay here. Do not move. Not for anyone but me. He ran out of the house and followed the tracks. The ground was hard but readable to guards. Maybe 3 boots shaped like the uniforms he saw yesterday. They moved fast toward the canyon road. A place he already knew too well. A place where unwanted people disappeared. The village was waking up. When Tom passed through, people opened doors and watched him. But none dared to speak. None dared to meet his eyes. They knew something was happening, but fear had stolen their courage long ago. Tom reached the center of the village and kicked open the first door. A small trading house. The owner jumped back. What are you doing, human? Where did they take the girl? Tom asked. His voice shook the walls. Where did they take the child that belongs to Ina? The trader swallowed and backed away. You cannot fight them. They belong to Lord Krellin. No one touches what he takes. No one follows him. Not if they wish to live another sunrise. Tom stepped forward. I am not asking for your opinion. I am asking for the direction. Tell me, or I tear this door off its hinges. The trader pointed with a trembling hand. The canyon road, the transport crates. They ship people, their workers' voices that cause trouble. Children too. Tom moved before the man finished his boots, hit the dirt with the weight of a storm. He followed the trail until the land began to rise. Sharp rocks cut the air. The canyon grew darker. With every step he saw birds circling above, waiting for something to die. Then he heard it, a small sound, not a scream, not a cry, just a soft hit of metal against metal. Like someone tapping from inside a box. Tom hurried forward. Behind a rusted shed stood a row of shipping crates. Large metal boxes used for livestock, not for people, never for children. But he knew the truth before he opened the door. He placed his ear against the crate. Lyra, are you in there? It is, Tom. Answer me, child. A weak voice answered Tom. Help me, please. His hands shook with rage. He pulled the metal lever, but it did not move. Locked from the outside, he stepped back, lifted his shotgun, and fired at the lock. The metal bent. He grabbed the door and ripped it open with all the strength left in his bones. Lyra sat inside. Her legs pulled to her chest, tears on her cheeks, rope around her wrists, her hair dirty, her voice shaking. I knew you would come. I knew it. Tom lifted her into his arms. We are leaving now. We are not staying here. Another breath. But the sound of footsteps filled the air. Heavy, sharp, dangerous. 3 guards stepped into view. Eyes cold, weapons ready. One of them spoke. She belongs to Lord Krellin now. And you, human, you will not leave this canyon alive. Tom stepped forward, Lyra behind him, shotgun in his hands, heart steady like a soldier, preparing for his last stand. He whispered, you should not have touched the child. The guards raised their weapons. The canyon walls echoed with tension, like a string pulled too tight. And the air waited silent, ready for war. Smoke drifted above the canyon like a wounded beast. The crate door still swung open. Tom stood in front of the guards with his shotgun held tight, his arms steady, his breath slow. Behind him, Lyra watched with wide eyes. Her tiny hand gripped the back of his shirt. She did not cry, she did not speak, but her fear was louder than thunder. One of the guards stepped forward. You should not have come back, farmer. This is not your fight. You are too old for war and too soft for pain. Tom did not answer. He pulled the trigger. The blast threw the first guard backward. The second raised his weapon, but Tom was faster. The second shot hit him in the leg. He dropped, screaming into the dust. The third guard ran. Tom let him go. Sometimes fear did more than bullets. He turned to Lyra. Are you hurt? She shook her head. No, I am. Okay, but Mama is alone. They ran back through the fields, back across the dirt roads, past silent doors and watching eyes. When they reached the house, the sun had dipped. Low shadows stretched across the walls. Tom opened the door fast. His boots hit the floor like thunder. Ina still lay on the bed, but her eyes were open, half open, blinking slow. Tom froze. Lyra gasped, Mama, you are awake. Tom moved to the bedside. He dropped to his knees. Ina looked at him. Her lips dry, her breath weak. You came back, she said. I knew you would, even after all these years. Tom blinked. Years. What do you mean? She smiled faintly, the corners of her mouth barely moving. Your name is Tom. You were in the army. You gave me water once when they locked us in the supply cage. You were kind when no one else was. Tom remembered a long time ago, a protest on an alien moon. He had seen a group of workers locked behind metal gates. He had broken the rules that day. He had passed water through the bars. One woman had taken it with shaking hands. That was you, he whispered. That was you behind the gate. Ina nodded. You saved me once. Now you have done it again. Lyra climbed beside her mother and held her close, tears running down her face. I thought you were going to die. I thought I was going to lose you. Ina touched her daughter's face, her hand still, weak but full of love. You are strong. You are brave. You kept breathing when I could not. Tom stood and looked out the window. Darkness now covered the fields, but it was not quiet. A sound buzzed in the distance. Engines, heavy ones. He stepped outside and looked to the sky. A large ship was coming, not a trader, not a rescue crew. It was armored military. Lord Krellin's men had called for backup. He walked back inside. They are coming. Big ship, more soldiers. We have little time. Ina looked at him, her eyes sharp. Even through the pain, they will not stop. Not until I am gone, not until my daughter is taken. They fear our truth. They fear our voice. Tom grabbed his tools wires. Old fuel cells. He placed a small device into Lyra's hand. Press this. If they get close, it will blind them for 5 seconds. He turned to Ina. Can you move? She nodded once. Enough to run if I must. Then let's prepare, Tom said, because I may be a farmer, but this land, this house, these people are mine now. Outside the ship was landing. The ground began to shake. Lights cut through the night like knives, but inside the house, one mother was rising. One child was watching, and one man was ready to fight. The wind turned hot. The ground trembled under heavy weight. From the dark sky, the ship came like a falling mountain. Lyra held her breath. Ina leaned on the doorframe, her face pale, but her eyes wide open. Tom stood in the yard, his shotgun strapped to his back, a heavy metal tool in one hand, a broken shovel in the other. Old weapons, farm tools, but in his hands they looked like lightning. The ship landed with a blast of dust and noise. Tall grass bent flat. The animals ran. Doors on the ship opened like metal mouths. From inside, shadows walked out, tall, hard, 20 soldiers in black armor. Each one held a weapon. Their steps were like thunder. They moved in rows, silent, cold, trained to erase lives. Tom did not move. He stood between them and the house, between them and Lyra, between them and the truth. One of the soldiers stepped forward, helmet off, face sharp like glass, skin pale like ash, eyes yellow with greed. I am Commander Derek, by order of Lord Krellin. You will surrender the worker, woman, and the child. Stand aside, farmer. Your death will be quick if you obey. Tom said nothing. He reached into his coat and threw a small device into the dirt. It blinked once. Then again, then the entire field exploded in light. The soldiers staggered, blinded, shouting. Tom moved like fire. He hit the first one with the shovel. Cracked armor, knocked down. He rolled under the second soldier's shot and used the metal tool to smash the rifle away. He grabbed a fallen weapon, old but deadly, inside the house. Lyra held her mother close, her hand on the small, blinding device Tom had given her. She waited, her breath fast, her heart louder than the ship. The soldiers began to regroup, but traps had already been set. Tom had spent the whole night building electric wires in the ground. Sharp metal hidden in the grass. Explosive fuel placed near the fence. He hit the trigger on his belt. Fire bloomed across the field. Screams followed. 2 soldiers thrown into the air. 3 more fell to the ground, their armor melted by heat. Commander Derek roared, "Kill the human, burn the house, erase them all." Tom ducked behind a tractor and fired back, each shot clean. Each step forward he moved with the rage of a broken world. He saw soldiers trying to circle around. He turned fast, noticed one reaching the door. No, Tom ran. It's faster than he thought he could. He threw himself between the soldier and the house. Took a hit to the side, fell to one knee, blood on his shirt, but he rose again. Behind him, the door opened. Ina stood, weak but standing. She held a staff, not a weapon. Just a long wooden staff from the wall. She faced the soldier, eyes burning. "You poisoned my voice. You tried to silence me, but I will not whisper. Not anymore." She hit the soldier with all she had. He fell back, stunned. Tom grabbed him and threw him into the dirt. "Stay down." More soldiers rushed forward. Tom raised his weapon, but then the ground shook again. A second ship appeared, not Krellin's. This one was blue, old, rusty, but it carried a flag. Tom remembered from the past, the symbol of the Union resistance. From inside the ship, voices called, "Stand down, this land is now under protection. Lay down your arms or be removed." The black armored soldiers froze. Some dropped weapons, others tried to run. Tom fell to one knee, breathing hard. The ship landed beside the burning field. A woman in silver armor stepped out. She saluted. "Tom, we got your signal." "You are not alone anymore." Tom smiled. barely, but it was real behind him. Lyra ran and hugged his waist. Ina stepped beside them. They were bruised, burned, bleeding, but they were still standing. And the sky, once dark and heavy, now carried light again. The smoke had cleared. The battlefield was quiet ash, floated in the air like slow-falling feathers. The enemy ship was broken, its wings scorched, and engines silent. The black-armored soldiers had been taken away. Disarmed, defeated Tom sat on the wooden steps outside the house. His hands were scratched, his shirt torn, blood on his sleeve, but he was breathing, and beside him, Lyra sat holding a bowl of water, gently dipping a cloth to wipe the dirt from his face. "You should rest," she said. "You fought like a storm. You need sleep now." Tom shook his head slowly. "I am too old for sleep, and too stubborn for peace." Lyra smiled a small, tired smile. Her other hand held her mother's. Anna stood now. Not strong, but alive. Every breath she took was a victory. The resistance ship still hovered above the field. More fighters had landed. They carried supplies, food, medical help, and words of safety. A woman in silver armor approached the same commander who had arrived during the fight. She saluted Tom again. "The girl's message reached us 3 days ago. It was short, just one sentence: please save my mother. A farmer is trying to protect us." We almost ignored it, but something in those words felt real. She sat beside. Tom looked out across the burned field. "You held this place alone with nothing but scrap and courage." Tom said nothing. He simply stared at the soil beneath his boots. The war commander continued. "We are offering a new safe place for survivors like them. You could come too. We can find you a home away from danger, a place to heal." Tom looked at Lyra, then at Ina. He thought of the field, the barn, the lonely hills. "This is already my home," he said. "It is broken, but it is mine." The commander stood and nodded once. "Then we will make sure no one touches it again. This house, this farm will be protected." She walked away. Orders called across the field. Supplies moved, structures repaired. Ina turned to Tom. "You could have walked away that first day you came here for a cow. You got nothing but trouble. Why did you stay?" Tom looked at her, his voice soft like the wind. "Because no one stayed for me when I needed help. I swore if I ever saw someone left behind again, I would not walk away." Lyra reached up and touched his hand. "Does that mean you are going to leave now?" Tom looked at her eyes full of hope, at her tiny fingers curled around his old hand. "No," he said. "I am not leaving." Lyra stood. She grabbed something from the house, a small metal tag, dirty and bent. She placed it around his neck. "This was my father's. He died before I was born. He never got to wear it now. It is yours because you saved us. You are my family now." Ina stepped forward. She placed a hand on Tom's shoulder. "You are not just a farmer anymore. You are a shield. You are the reason I am still breathing. You gave my daughter a future." Tom stood slowly, his legs sore but steady. He looked out across the land. The cows had returned. Stray animals circled the barn. The sky above was soft with light for the first time in years. He did not feel alone. He whispered one last promise: "No more silence, not while I breathe." And as the sun rose again over bloodied soil and broken metal and 3 souls who refused to be erased, the world saw something stronger than war, stronger than power, stronger than fear. A simple man who chose to stay.